The Prime Minister suggests a Caricom Arrest Warrant as a mechanism to help combat regional crime. Burglaries overall down, but aggravated burglaries on the increase. 4 sugar plantations have already wrapped up harvesting. And in sports, a whopping 18 goals scored in the preliminaries as teams battle to avoid relegation.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. A Caricom arrest warrant is among a number of proposals put forward by Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley as she makes a push for significant changes to the judicial architecture to combat the surge in violent crime sweeping across Barbados and the region. Her appeal came during the 2-day regional symposium that began today in Trinidad and Tobago and is being held under the theme Violence as a Public Health Issue, the Crime Challenge. The Prime Minister revealed the Caricom arrest warrant was touted many years ago but never implemented. She believes it can be a game changer in the crime fight.
Caricom Arrest Warrant. We talked about it 20 years ago. We haven't done it. Raymond is nodding his head because he was in his Ministers of National Security meeting with me. Bottom line is, if we have a Caricom Arrest Warrant, we can bypass the length of time on extradition and all of these other things that are holding us up. And we do not have the level of deep cooperation that, as I said, we need, which the RIC was intended to bring about.
The Prime Minister also highlighted what she believes is another contributing factor fueling the surge in gun violence and crime in general. She says it's directly linked to what's happening with the justice system, where an increasing number of people charged with murder are getting bail.
When I look at the stats, not just out of Bahamas, but in Barbados and all through the region, the people who are causing the greatest problems are charged with 2, 3, and 4 murders. Something is fundamentally wrong. So I ask myself 2 basic questions. 1, how are we going to deconstruct and reconstruct to meet the reality of this jurisprudential challenge? Development that is undermining the rule of law in our countries. And we're going to have to find ways of cooperating from the level of the police to the level of the courts, but in particular forensics.
While the Caricom arrest warrant leads the list of proposals put forward by the Prime Minister, she says there needs to be an overhaul of rules governing the police service. It's something she's revealed is already being done in Barbados.
We need the Caricom arrest warrant. We need to have the exchange and rotation of judges, which will allow for a magistracy. We need to have an enlargement of the jurisdiction of magistrates. We need cooperation on forensics. And we need, finally, to deconstruct all the rules in our police service and reconstruct them. In Barbados' case, I've just insisted that we start it. Our service was established in 1835. Most of its rules were done in the early 20th century. You cannot fight and preserve law and order and fight crime with rules that were made for an analog environment.
Meanwhile, host Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is drawing attention to another issue thwarting the crime fight in Trinidad and Tobago. The lead Prime Minister on security in Caricom says police there have been unable to get the public's assistance to find wanted people.
Somewhere along the way, enlightened voices have said to the country, through our friends in the legal fraternity, that it's an abuse of the person's right to privacy to have his picture or her picture on television wanted by the police for murder or so-and-so. And what arises to me immediately, that right of the individual to that privacy, having become a person of interest to the police, how do you balance that? And I think that Trinidad and Tobago would do well, and Trinidad and Tobago's police will do very well if they're allowed to ask the public for help in finding Mr. X or Mr. Y. So we're on our way.
The Barbados Police Service is reporting an overall reduction in burglaries so far for 2023 compared with the same period last year. However, police have also been closely monitoring a slight increase in aggravated burglaries. Sharika Griffith reports.
According to provisional statistics from the Barbados Police Service, the island has recorded 210 burglaries as of April 15th this year, when compared to 246 for the same period last year. Acting Assistant Police Commissioner with responsibility for investigations, David Griffith, says while this represents an overall reduction in this type of crime, aggravated burglaries have been on the rise. He explains that aggravated burglaries, which have been occurring both at homes and businesses, are those committed using a weapon designed to cause injury to a person, such as a gun or a knife.
When we classify burglaries, we look at basically residential burglaries, commercial burglaries, and aggravated burglaries, just to make that differentiation. And the only area of burglary that we are seeing an increase this year is in the area of aggravated burglaries. We have, so far for this year, 26 aggravated burglaries compared to 20 for the same period last year. And that is up until the 15th of April, but like I said, that is a provisional figure. And that might be adjusted slightly upwards depending on when certain cases were reported and logged.
Noting that is a great concern for police, he revealed some of the initiatives the service has been using to arrest the problem.
The force has a burglary initiative in place where we have our crime prevention officers speak to homeowners and owners of commercial enterprises in terms of target hardening, making it more difficult for perpetrators to enter and steal their property. And we are also looking at those persons who are known to commit these types of crime. We target those persons, and also we also look at persons who from time to time we get information on about receiving stolen property. So those are some of the areas that we have been focusing on.
The senior officer also wants residents to do their part to help police with their investigations.
We would want to continue to urge persons to make sure that their property is marked and that they take proper note of, let's say, serial numbers of identifiable property, so that in the event that there's an invasion and property is stolen, that we have identifiable marks or proper serial numbers that we can go after this property. This has been plaguing us where homeowners and sometimes that commercial enterprises do not have proper marks on property and therefore cannot identify if it is stolen.
Home and business owners are also being encouraged to invest in closed circuit or CCTV cameras and have them strategically placed to record the points of entry and exit of the property. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
A lack of full community participation has been identified by Minister of State in the Office of the Attorney General with responsibility for crime, Corey Lane, as his biggest challenge in his fight against crime in Barbados. He said so during CBC TV8's current affairs program, The People's Business, last evening, which examined the topic putting a handle on local crime.
There's a spirit of unforgiveness in this Christian society. So persons coming out of prison they have a very high recidivism rate, sometimes up to 70%, because they're not given that second chance. Again, when I'm explaining to people why I'm doing what I'm doing, they think I'm shooting from my hip. I don't know what I'm talking about. But these things are things that I can speak to from my brain, from my heart, and from my soul, because I have lived this as an at-risk youth, and I have lived this for the last 25 years trying to turn the situation around.
Mr. Lane also proposed that communities need cutting-edge communication technology so that they can network in real time as they keep an eye on criminal elements. On that point, the minister also noted there aren't enough active neighborhood watches.
Just 2 Sundays ago, I was meeting with one in St. James, and I was very happy because the place was packed. But I'm thinking that all neighborhoods have to come back together as community, learn your neighbors, know who you are, and have at least some kind of technology app and platform that we can communicate in real time. The second thing is using the cameras, digital cameras, and real-time sonar technology that can communicate with the police and the community in real time. I've been exploring a lot of best practices, things that can actually, I don't mean know, some of them are strategic, some of them national security, can't talk about all, but there are things that we can install on the light poles and so on besides cameras that can actually feed information back to law enforcement in real time.
Barbados recorded 6 more COVID-19 related deaths between April the 1st and the 14th. That's according to the latest available figures, which indicated that 848 tests were conducted during that period. The information also shows that as at April the 14th, 9 people remain hospitalized. The latest numbers take the total death toll for COVID to 588, while tests conducted are 800,831. Regarding Barbados vaccination status, 163,845 people have received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, or 60.5% of the population, while 155,031 individuals are fully vaccinated, which represents 57.2% of the population. We'll take a break here, but coming up, Barbados moves to upgrade the local energy policy to an energy investment policy. As Barbados seeks to meet its 2030 energy targets, it is moving to upgrade the local energy policy to an energy investment policy. That's according to Energy Minister Senator Lisa Cummins, who was speaking to the media during a press conference after the opening session of the Energy Transition and Investment Plan Stakeholder Workshop underway at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre. The change will see the new document factoring in associated costs involved in the transition, among other things.
We have a national energy plan already. We are converting it now into a national energy investment plan. And in support of that work, you have the UN Special Envoys, the gravitas being thrown behind the establishment of an energy transition team here in Barbados to support Barbados specifically. That team is being established here in Barbados. That office is being established here in Barbados, and the advanced team is already here.
And Special Representative of the UN Secretary General for Sustainable Energy for All, Damilola Ogunbiyi, has been explaining what role that agency will be playing in the fashioning of the updated policy.
Typically, when a lot of these models are done, they're done regionally or somewhere in DC or somewhere in Vienna. That doesn't work on the localization. So we want a team here to be able to respond, work with the PAMSEC's office, work with the Ministry of Energy, because it is Barbados plan, it's not UN or SE4 plan. So when we are doing the modeling, it's important that the modelers in the ministry understand what we're doing, because they don't need to now call us and a bunch of consultants to tweak it if anything changes in 2 years' time.
4 sugar plantations have completed the reaping of sugar cane for this year's sugar harvest. Another is set to end cutting this week. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Not a bother to operations at Friendship Plantation, but manager Patrick Bethel told the Business Report the sugar content there this year was less than last year.
Because my ratoons were only 7 months old, our sugar content was lower than I normally would expect. In other words, it took more tons of cane to make a ton of sugar. But because of the good rainfall the previous year, the tonnages, tons per acre, were much higher.
24 acres were reaped at the Valley Plantation, St. George, and manager Ron Hope said tonnage was also lower.
2024 is actually our bigger crop. We only harvested 27 acres this year. Next year we'll be harvesting over 50 acres. So next year is a much bigger crop than this year.
At Groves Plantation, St. Philip, manager Ryan Norris said they had no issues, but yields were down and they have shifted their focus to next year's crop and beyond.
My yields were down, I guess, maybe a 5% because this part of the island, the cane is supposed to be harvested first, and Philip is a very dry area. And having one harvester in the company, we can't be all over the place at the same time. So when they got to me, my canes had dried out significantly, negatively impacting the yield.
Brighton Plantation St. George has also completed harvesting. while those who spoke to CBC indicated lower yields as the 2023 sugar harvest approaches the halfway stage. Industry officials are confident of an above-average harvest based on the overall outlook. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
All right, Trevor, thank you. A fresh call for Barbadians to take action, to take charge and clean up the environment. It's coming through the Changemaker Challenge, a collaboration between the Mango Group of Hotels and ProSource Barbados. It was launched at the Sands Hotel in Worthing. And later, staff from the group and other volunteers took to 3 communities, including Salter St. George, to remove litter from the streets. Business Development and Communications Manager with ProSource, Janelle Edwards, spoke of the company's role in the effort.
ProSource was one of the first corporate supporters of the Don't Waste Barbados movement when it was launched in 2021. And this is the model that we would have wished for, to see corporate supporters and big groups such as the Mango Bay Group and the Sands Hotel on board. Cleaning up is everybody's responsibility. And if we don't litter to start, then that's the first initiative. But initiatives such as this really go a long way to let people know, listen, we're corporate Barbados and we're also doing our part. Don't Waste Barbados is excited for the Changemaker Challenge, and we're encouraging everyone, once the information is disseminated widely, to get on board and to participate.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Mango Bay Group, Shirlene Mathlin-Tulloch, says there is a role for all segments of society in the challenge, which is set to continue throughout the year.
We have a lot of educating to do. We have to go back to the drawing board. We know children are being taught in school and there is a lot of work being done in some areas. But at this point in time, we want to get and invite everyone to come on board. Communities, churches, schools, business places, everyone, to get the message out there that if you have litter, it needs to go into the bin and not onto the side of the road or wherever it is that people want to throw it, in the gullies or wherever.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Well, let's take a look at sports now. We're joined by Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to our viewers and listeners. Some football news first up. Notre Dame elevated themselves from the bottom 4 with a timely victory last night in the BFA Premier League. Playing at the Wildy Turf, Dames thrashed bottom place St Andrew Lions 5-2 to move to 8 points and 8th position, while Abrams United Silver Sands won their first match of the season and Empire and Deacons played out an exciting draw.
Empire in red battling Deacons' first match of a triple header. 13th minute, Empire searching for the opener. Dangerous time for Deacons' defence. Zenio Harris with a nifty effort off the upright, and in we have lift-off at the turf. Empire 1, Deacons 0. Skip ahead, 24th minute, Empire guilty of ball watching. Shaquan Clark left all alone at the edge of the 6-yard box, and his header was wonderfully placed. Back on level terms, Deacons 1, Empire 1. First half loaded with action. Free kick to Empire. The wall does its job, but then the rebound provides a second chance. Rico Brathwaite sticks out his left boot. Empire going front once again 2-1. But that joy was erased just before the break, and it was mediocre defending to say the least, as Danico Watson produced a touch of class. The chip finish exquisite. It's game on. 2-2 at the break. The search for the go-ahead goal in the second half was prolonged. 74th minute. Expertly weighted pass to pick out Shemaine Richards. Cool, calm, and deadly. Deacons in the driver's seat. 3-2 the scoreline. But there will be more twists to this one. Solo run from Osman Henderson. Has a goal, flies past the goalkeeper. This is a cliffhanger, folks. 3-3 then. 2 minutes later, 80th to be precise. Another excellent cross. Daniel Calvi with a day and a year to control. Left foot rifle into the back of the onion bag. That was eye candy. 4-3. But the sprinkling of spectators were treated to one more roll of the dice in stoppage time. Straight off the playground. Keon Atkins, the saviour. Well. It ends Deacons 4, Empire 4. Second fixture, Wotton FC in blue, battling Silver Sands. Corner kick to Wotton in the 13th minute. Looks like a handball in the box. Referee agrees and points to the spot. Carl Gibson, given the assignment, makes it count 1-0. Nothing more in the first half. Let's go to the 74th. Silver Sands free kick. Couple of tough challenges. Referee again has a clear-cut decision. Silver Sands to level from the penalty spot. Lorraine Gale Ford sends the keeper the wrong way. 1-1 then. Silver Sands desperate for all 3 points. With the clock ticking away, cross from the right. Worth the admission. Guildford controls and buries one of the top goals of the month. Silver Sands win 2-1 over Wotton FC. Third fixture saw St Andrew Lions up against Notre Dame in yellow. Zico Edmi on the receiving end in the 6th minute. Goalkeeper comes early, but that's what a good marksman does. Finishes the job. The Lions look tentative with Dames applying the pressure. 15th minute. Edmi with the magical touch. Lions in big trouble. They trail 2-0. And that man, Edmi, was once again at it. His hat trick secured after this shoulder barge in the 30th minute. The referee didn't hesitate. Penalty time. Edmi, left or right, Ox for the right corner. Mario Albert beaten 3-0. Lions would be thankful for any scraps on offer, and they've got to go back before half-time. Jomo Brathwaite trailing the play, but arriving in the nick of time. Deficit cut to 2. Second half, 54th minute, free kick to Dames. Goodness me, that was lethal. Carl Joseph on the score sheet. Dames 4-1 up. Lions too far behind the 8 ball, made it 4-2 via Shamar Edwards in the 81st minute from the penalty spot. However, they also had a player sent off, Javon Taylor, in the 92nd minute after he received a second yellow card. Then Winston Maynard completed the demolition job in time added on to give Dames the emphatic 5-2 victory.
Well, cricket fans can mark this one on their calendar. Barbados Royals will host the Trinbago Knight Riders in their 4th match of the 2023 Hero Caribbean Premier League, which runs from August 17th to September 24th. The full fixture was released today, with Barbados staging matches from August 30th to September 3rd at Kensington Oval for the first time since 2019. That Barbados versus TKR clash is set for August 30th at 7 p.m, followed by a fixture against Jamaica Talawas on the 31st, St Lucia Kings on September 2nd, and the Royals' final game at the region's Mecca will be on September 3rd against St Kitts and Nevis Patriots. The venues in Trinidad and Tobago are yet to be named, while there will be no matches in Jamaica for this edition. The Darren Sammy Stadium in St Lucia will kick off the first leg of matches from August 16th to 20th, with the home side playing 4 of the 6 games.
In business tonight, BICO's Executive Chairman Edwin Thurwell says the company does not intend to refile a bid with the Fair Trading Commission to push for its sale to a Trinidadian company. This following the FTC's denial of BICO's efforts to sell. The FTC had ruled that the sale to Trinidad and Tobago-based Hadco Limited, the parent company of Creamery Novelties, would have resulted in a substantial lessening of competition. While still very disappointed about that decision, without going into details, Mr. Thurwell says BICO is currently exploring other opportunities that is hopeful can be put in motion before year's end.
There are other options now on the table following that, because obviously the Fair Trading Commission did not consent for the deal to go ahead. Nobody quite understands why they would come to that conclusion, because the people in Trinidad who wanted to buy BICO are already in this market, and we're already in this market, so it's not as if there were any new entrants coming in. But anyway, that's behind us. They didn't give consent. It would take too long and be too expensive to appeal. That we have other options. There are other people interested, and there are other options as to what we can do. They are being actively pursued.
A government minister is stressing the importance of Barbados' territorial waters and the precedence the Mia Amor Motley administration has placed on securing it as a valued economic zone for the island and its citizens. Its Minister of the Environment and National Beautification, the Green and Blue Economy, Adrian Ford. He says government has, as part of its primary focus for sustainable development, a marine spatial plan of action for Barbados, which it will not allow to be compromised. Minister Ford stressed that the government of Barbados' commitment is to realize every single resource and economic potential from the sea. He was addressing an awards presentation for the International Game Fishing Ceremony at Port St. Charles. That's where Team Barbados on board the vessel Remember Me Now took the top prize, beating out 24 other competitors from teams throughout the region, including Grenada, Martinique and St. Lucia.
We have decided as a government that every single space must have either a resource potential or an economic and financial potential. And that is why we have demarcated in a special way every area of our economic exclusive zone. So there will be areas, for instance, for fishing activity from our fishermen. There will be areas with a marine spatial plan being realized for biodiversity conservation, reef restoration, areas for revetment, areas for mitigation and adaptation, and of course wind as an alternative source of energy. That is what we have decided as a government.
Minister Ford says the importance of fishing, and particularly this fishing competition, cannot be overstated because it has generated millions of dollars in revenue for the country over the years. He says Barbados has an ocean over 400 times its land space, and government intends to make good on maximizing its economic benefits.
The ocean must allow us to have touristic and financial realization. And it's important for us to understand the blue economy and the resource potential of the blue economy. An ocean that is 430 times the size of our land space must allow us to have 430 times more financial wherewithal. Simple as that. And that is what we are doing when we seek to realize these opportunities.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for visiting us. Now, if you want to see more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can always go to cbc.bb for the latest news and current affairs.